This is Mac OS Ken.
Wall Street weighs in on Apple, tweaks and fixes behind the scenes and under the hood, and a potential quagmire in Chinese courts. It is Thursday, the 7th of October, 2021. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Notion. One workspace for your startup. Get up to $1,000 off at notion.com/startups. This show is also sponsored by Upstart, fair and fast personal loans. If you dread looking at your credit card statements, you're not alone. The weight of debt can be crushing, but Upstart can help you get out from under it. Whether it's paying off credit cards, consolidating high-interest debt, or funding personal expenses, over 1 million people have used Upstart to get a simple, fixed monthly payment with a clear payoff date. Upstart looks at more than your credit score, factoring in income and current employment. You can check your rate without impacting your credit score in minutes for loans between $1,000 to $50,000, and you can receive funds as fast as 1 business day after accepting your loan. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/macOSKen. UPSTART. That's upstart.com/macOSKen. Don't forget to use my URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Upstart.com/macOSKen. Remember over the weekend when the Wall Street Journal ran a story about the gobs of money Apple makes from the App Store in general and games in particular? And Apple shares tanked, and some people thought the shares tanked because of the Wall Street Journal story. Morgan Stanley analyst Katie Huberty is not sweating it. Apple 3.0 ran part of a note she wrote wherein she said her firm's estimate saw App Store activity re-accelerate in the month of September. Quoting her note, by region, nearly all of the App Store's 10 largest markets, which make up 88% of trailing 12-month App Store spend, saw growth accelerate in the month of September, and, importantly, gaming net revenue in China accelerated in the month of September, despite strict curbs on the amount of time children under the age of 18 are allowed to spend gaming. She goes on to argue that the broad-based strength in the month of September helped to drive net revenue per download to an all-time record of 83 cents per download. She seems to say in the note that her current services estimates for the September quarter are a bit conservative, though she is sticking with them for now. While she's conscious of potential regulatory headwinds, Apple won't feel their effects until late this year or early next year at the earliest, in her estimation. And so, Huberty keeps her overweight rating on Apple shares. Her price target on the shares is $168. Elsewhere on the financial front, Barron's ran a report Wednesday collecting a few thoughts on Apple from a few analysts. Huberty's note on the App Store was one, though the others in the piece focused on iPhone. One of them we've heard about this week. That's the one that had Evercore ISI analyst Amit Daryanani feeling the good feeling around demand for iPhone 13. Additionally, Barron spotted a note that I either hadn't seen from JP Morgan analyst Samik Chatterjee, or maybe I just read a different angle on it. The Barron's piece has Chatman keeping less of an eye on demand for iPhone 13 than potential problems in the supply chain. Those started in late summer when Apple reportedly had trouble getting camera modules out of Vietnam due to outbreaks of COVID-19. There are also concerns about a shortage of electric power being felt by some companies in China. While that has not affected big manufacturers like Foxconn, it could affect smaller manufacturers that make the small parts that go into big devices like iPhone. The whole thing bears watching in his estimation. Mr. Chatterjee has an overweight rating on Apple's shares. His price target on the shares is $180. Doing more of an accentuate the positive thing is R.W. Baird analyst William Power. He sees a couple of reasons to be stoked over the iPhone 13 line. First, John and Jane Public are getting more interested in 5G. And second, there is a lot of support for Apple's latest coming from carriers here in the States. The big ones are offering up to $1,000 in trade-in value, according to the report. Power thinks part of that is due to competition for new customers, while part of it is just getting people to sign up for new data plans. Whatever the reason, Power says he and his believe this could be part of the multi-year iPhone upgrade tailwind for Apple. R.W. Baird has a buy rating on Apple shares. Power's price target on the shares is $170. Lots of under-the-hood, behind-the-scenes news around Apple this week. First, the Beta Brigade is still doing business. iDownload blog says Apple on Wednesday released the third betas of iOS 15.1, iPadOS 15.1, tvOS 15.1, watchOS 8.1, and the ninth beta of macOS Monterey to developers. If things go as they've gone lately, that'll put them out to the public testing program today. New in the iOS 15.1 beta, a controller for macro photography for the Pro end of the iPhone 13 line. Having not played with one of those, I sort of assumed there would be a control for it. Yeah, not yet. 9to5Mac says when the phone shipped, the camera switched to macro mode automatically when one got close enough to whatever one was getting close to. Convenient, unless macro wasn't what one wanted. But there was no way to turn it off, except for backing away from whatever it was you were close to. That is apparently changing. In response to iPhone 13 Pro reviews last month, says 9to5Mac, Apple promised that it would roll out a software option to disable automatic macro mode, and that's exactly what iOS 15.1 includes. If you head to the Settings application, then choose Camera, you'll see a new toggle for Auto Macro. When enabled, this feature will automatically switch to the ultra-wide camera to capture macro photos and videos. If they disable that, users do not have to go back into Settings every time they actually want macro mode. The piece says they can manually put the Pro phone's camera into macro by switching to the 0.5x lens in the camera and getting close to the thing that they want to shoot and tapping the display to focus on it. Disabling auto macro mode is the only big new change I've heard about from the latest round of betas, though there's plenty more stuff working its way through Apple's various systems, like the updated Report a Problem option for the App Store. I told you about that earlier this week. Engadget ran a piece saying as part of iOS 15, the latest App Store update lets you report a scam or fraud for free in-app purchase and paid apps, provided you've installed the app in question. That wasn't an official thing, though. Rather, it was a thing that some users had spotted. Now it's official. On Wednesday, 9to5Mac had Apple confirming the reporting feature. It's currently live in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and the US, though Apple does plan to expand to other regions over time. It's not just locations that got clarification, but also what can be reported. In addition to the report a scam or fraud option, Apple says it's also adding a report offensive, abusive, or illegal content option to the web version of its Report a Problem tool. File your report and Apple starts investigating. In a blog post explaining the process to developers, the company said Apple's app review, discovery, fraud, and live moderation and financial fraud teams investigate reported problems for signs of fraud, manipulation, abuse, and other violations of the App Store review guidelines and will reach out to developers to resolve issues. And if that doesn't work, out comes the ban hammer. If we suspect that a developer has engaged in purposeful manipulation, fraud, or abuse, says Apple, we will notify them and take action. Consequences may include removal of apps and may impact their Apple Developer Program membership. Man, that's epic. You know how it's super easy to start an account in some apps and nigh on impossible to end them? Apple wants to see that change soon. Mac Rumors ran a report Wednesday on a reminder sent from Apple to developers. Basically, if a user can start an account in an application, Apple wants users to be able to end them in the application as well. Like, completely. According to Apple's reminder, the update to App Store review guidelines last June provided users with greater control over their personal data, stating that all apps that allow for account creation must also allow users to initiate deletion of their account from within the application. The new rules will apply to all app submissions beginning the 31st of January, 2022. News of a change from Apple earlier this week. Another piece from Mac Rumors says Apple has toggled end-to-end encryption for Safari bookmarks in iCloud, further expanding the type of user data that the company fully encrypts. According to the report, an update to Apple's iCloud security overview page has indicated that alongside Safari tabs and history, Safari bookmarks are now end-to-end encrypted, meaning no one, not even Apple, can access users' saved Safari bookmarks. Neat for Safari stuff, though Mac Rumors points out some of the stuff stored in iCloud that is not end-to-end encrypted, including photos, reminders, notes, and more. Apple's CSAM fiasco back in the summer brought the lack of end-to-end encryption for photos to the fore, though there may be a good reason for that besides sneaking peeks. Apple readies its legacy contacts launch for easier after-death data retrieval, reads a headline from iMore. Announced this year at WWDC, the piece says legacy contacts are contacts that people can specify as those they would like to be able to access their data in the event of their death. According to the report, the feature will effectively give specified people the key to access a person's iCloud data, although proof of death will be required, and even then, only data that isn't end-to-end encrypted will be available. While Apple has said nothing lately about bringing the program online, iMore sees a couple of signs of activity. First, a change to the iCloud usage agreement specifically includes mention of what happens after death. Yay! And second, a new website has been set up at digital-legacy.apple.com, though that site is not yet live, according to the report. One more change from Apple that is out already, though easy to miss. I told you yesterday of a firmware update for AirPods Pro and AirPods Max that folded the devices into Apple's Find My network. A piece from Engadget says that is not the only new feature the firmware brought. According to the report, Conversation Boost, a feature announced during this year's WWDC, has made the scene. That lets the earbuds amplify the volume of people you're speaking with and or reduce ambient noise. To activate the feature, make sure your pair of AirPods Pro is connected to your iPhone or iPad. Go to Settings on that iPhone or iPad. Go to Accessibility. Tap Audio Visual. Tap Headphone Accommodations. Toggle Headphone Accommodations on. Switch on Transparency Mode. You do all that and you have a number of options available, including Conversation Boost and Reduce Ambient Noise. More news in a moment, but first a word from Notion. One workspace for your startup. Early days of any business can see a few people wearing many hats. Maybe you can keep up with everything you're doing, but does everybody else know what you're up to? And come to think of it, do you know what everybody else is up to? You should, and you could, with Notion. Notion is an all-in-one team collaboration tool that combines note-taking, document sharing, wikis, project management, and much more into one space that is simple, powerful, and beautifully designed. For startups, Notion can provide a full-on operating system for running every aspect of your company, keeping everyone aligned as you grow fast and take on more. Keeping everyone aligned. Or, keep it all in your head and see what happens. Interested? Want to find out more? Notion is running a special offer just for startups. Get up to $1,000 off Notion's team plan by going to notion.com/startups. To give you a sense, that's almost a year of free Notion for a team of 10. Again, that's notion.com/startups to receive up to $1,000 in free credit to use Notion with your team. That's up to a $1,000 value when you go to notion.com/startups. The EU is apparently trying to pry open another part of iPhone. Mac Rumors ran a report Wednesday saying that the European Commission, business arm of the European Union, is planning to charge Apple with anti-competitive behavior with regards to Apple Pay, since it is the only payment service that can use the iPhone's near-field communication, or NFC, chip. Mac Rumors goes on to explain. The NFC chip in the iPhone and Apple Watch enables tap-and-go contactless payments, but Apple Pay is the only payment service that can use this hardware. On Android devices, multiple payment services can offer contactless payments using the NFC chip, but on iPhone, no rival services are allowed to leverage the NFC hardware. And yet the people who keep choosing iPhone keep choosing iPhone. I'm sorry, that was editorial. Get ready to hear about this story for a bit. Mac Rumor says the EC plans to charge Apple with anti-competitive conduct around iPhone's NFC restrictions sometime next year. A surprising turn against Apple in China. 9 to 5 Mac ran a piece earlier this week about an individual in the Middle Kingdom who has been given the go-ahead to take an Apple tax antitrust case to court. The report quotes a piece from South China Morning Post. According to that, the plaintiff is demanding Apple stop charging 30% commission on purchases in the China App Store and to allow Chinese consumers to make payments through wallets other than Apple Pay to provide US $15,500 in compensation and to issue a public apology. In his lawsuit, the plaintiff alleges that the prices of in-app services offered by apps in Apple's App Store are higher than in Android app stores, possibly as a result of Apple's 30% App Store commission. The plaintiff also cites China's anti-monopoly law in accusing Apple of anti-competitive practices. 9 to 5 Mac says the variable prices may be because third-party stores that sell apps for Android usually charge no commission on non-gaming apps while making up for it with a 50% commission on games. Now, nobody's really worried about this one case. Rather, the concern is the number of cases that could follow. The piece has a lawyer in Shanghai laying out the possibilities. Quoting that lawyer, "I think this case has established a new principle, namely that antitrust cases are also rights infringement cases and thus can be adjudicated by local courts. So this means that the victims in antitrust cases, for example, the competitors of the monopolistic company or consumers, may very likely go to their local court for legal actions." And finally today, for a company seemingly at war against plastic, News of another Apple TV Plus Blu-ray. iMore says the animated feature Wolfwalkers will be turned into a tiny frisbee, but only in 1080p. This sounds less mass market, more collector's edition. The piece says the film will be part of Cartoon Saloon's Irish Folklore Trilogy box. That'll include The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, Wolfwalkers, of course, and an extra DVD full of extras. What's weird is viewers can actually view it in higher quality on Apple TV+. The way iMore puts it, anyone wanting to watch the movie in 4K Dolby Atmos will need to stick with the Apple TV Plus version. But pretty box, plus extras. I know an Irish-American grandmother and grandfather who would probably love to have this for when the grandkids come. They can, of course, have it just in time for the holidays. Available for pre-order now from the studio. Cartoon Saloon's Irish Folklore Trilogy will run buyers $65. It is due out on the 14th of December. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by Upstart. Fair and fast personal loans. Learn more and check your rate at upstart.com/macOSCan. This show is also sponsored by Notion, one workspace for your startup. Get up to $1,000 off at notion.com/startups. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macoscan.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.